Welcome to video number 2 from St. Caimin's Community School for the e-learning from nature project. During this video we'll look at how the location of our site visit inspired a look at different types of energy conversions. We will look at classroom-based activities linked to the site visit, and we will look at a number of the student experiences. St. Caimin's Community School is located in Shannon, County Clare, which is at the end of Ireland's longest river called the River Shannon. As part of our school visit, we visited an area called the Point, which is a series of wetlands near the Shannon estuary. As a result of the site visit, students were inspired to look up along the path of the River Shannon. They looked at where it started, and they looked at various towns along the River Shannon. They also looked at structural features, and one that jumped out at them was the Enature hydroelectric power station. The Enature hydroelectric power plant is part of the Shannon hydroelectric scheme, which was developed in the 1920s to harness the power of the River Shannon. Enature power plant is the hydroelectric power station which is still producing power today along Ireland's largest river. Looking at the Enature hydroelectric power plant offered opportunities to link with the junior science syllabus, where students have to investigate various forms of energy. Students have to be able to classify energy as either being renewable or non-renewable, and they also have to be able to state the principle of conservation of energy. Other learning outcomes ask students to list the advantages and disadvantages of different energy sources, and they also ask students to identify different forms of energy and carry out simple experiments to show chemical energy to electrical energy to heat energy, electrical energy to magnetic energy to kinetic energy, and light energy to electrical energy to kinetic energy. The learning outcomes also ask students to give examples of energy conversions from everyday life. So a look at the hydroelectric power plant offered students a chance to revise this section of their junior science syllabus. During the classroom-based activities, students were asked to work in groups of 3 to develop a project around the area of hydroelectric power. Students were asked to describe what hydroelectric power is and how it works. They were asked to compare it to other forms of energy. They were asked to describe the advantages of this form of energy and also describe the disadvantages. Before starting the project, students were provided with the project criteria and the success criteria for each section. For section 1, the description of what hydroelectric power is and how it works, students were asked to include a diagram with a written description. In order to compare other forms of renewable energy to hydroelectrical power, students were asked to compare the energy output to another renewable form of energy. Students were asked to list and explain 3 advantages and also 3 disadvantages of hydroelectric power. Students completed the project in groups and presented their final project in an oral presentation to the class. On reflecting on the project, students liked the idea of revising and going back over the section in their junior science syllabus that looked at energy and the different forms of energy. They also liked being able to link renewable sources of energy with local suppliers of this type of energy. One of the things that came from the research that really caught students' imagination was the effect that the plant had on the salmon fishing in the area. The plant now includes fish ladders so that returning fish, in particular salmon, can climb the river safely past the power station. This was not always the case. The ladder was not included in the original structure, and it had a devastating effect on the salmon fishing along that point in the River Shannon, which prior to the 1920s had been excellent for salmon fishing.